Now that the anti-groomer law has been put into effect in Florida, we have, of course, been warned that apocalyptic results will follow. Gay teachers will be fired en masse. Gay students will be expelled. Gay people walking down the street will be rounded up and deported. Anybody who says the word gay will be immediately vaporized by a drone from the sky. This is the dystopia that we were promised, and yet nothing like it has actually occurred. In fact, the media has had to search quite desperately to find any real-life horror stories connected to the legislation that they erroneously labeled the Don't Say Gay bill. And now they think that they finally found it. The headlines came pouring in yesterday. A teacher in Florida has been fired for her sexuality, they tell us. Except there's quite a bit more to the story, as it turns out. Here's the headline from the New York Post. It says, Pansexual Florida teacher canned for discussing orientation with students. Now, according to the article, it says, a Florida teacher claims she was fired for discussing her pansexual status with middle school students, whom she then asked to draw pictures representing their own sexual orientations. Cape Coral art instructor Casey Scott said that her students were curious about her sexual orientation, and she explained to them that she was pansexual during a lesson in March, according to NBC2. A discussion happened in the class, and because of that, now I'm fired, Scott told the outlet. Now, just to make sure that we give pansexual Casey a fair shake in this whole thing, I want to play some of her interview with NBC2 where she tells her sad, sad story, and let's do that now.
A discussion happened in class, and because of that, now I'm fired.
That discussion, according to Trafalgar Middle School teacher Casey Scott, centered on student sexuality.
A lot of the kids came out to me like, oh, well, I'm non-binary, and a couple kids said, oh, well, I'm bi. One kid said they're gay.
She claims students wondered about her.
I'm pansexual, so I like anyone despite female, male.
And married to a man. She says some students asked to create art expressing their sexuality.
This one's a trans flag.
She hung the pictures on her classroom door.
They said that it would be in the best interest if I just got rid of them now.
She snapped these pictures showing how she got rid of them.
I went over to the recycling bin. I grabbed all of their flags, and all the kids were staring at me, and I crumbled their flags in front of them.
She was sent home, and then
I got a call from administration saying that, well, at this time, we are releasing you from your contract.
She showed us social media posts from students upset over her firing. However, the Lee County School District showed us complaints from parents and students explaining that they could create flags expressing who they are. Union President Kevin Daley says they can legally fire her.
During that probationary period, they can let you go without cause.
She doesn't belong to the union. Daley believes the firing could be a wake-up call for teachers.
There is kind of a heightened sense of, where is the boundary?
Yes, where is the boundary? Well, I can answer that. The boundary is simply this. Don't talk to the kids about your sexuality or theirs. It's got nothing to do with your job. It's not appropriate. It's none of your business. It's not what you're being paid to do. I also don't want my kid's dentist talking to them about their sexuality. If the barber cutting my son's hair is a pansexual and brings that up in the course of cutting my son's hair, I'm going to have a problem with that. In fact, I don't want any adult talking to my kids about sexuality. So this is quite simple, actually. Finding the boundary it's not hard to do. And it's really not confusing. It's not difficult to understand or abide by. I've gone, if you can believe this, I've gone my entire life without ever walking up to somebody else's child and initiating or participating in a conversation about sexuality. I plan to keep that streak alive for the entire rest of my life. It's not difficult. Normal people have no problem with this. The fact that public school teachers are scratching their heads, and going, I don't understand, it's so confusing, I'm perplexed, really shows you what's wrong with public schools. Wait, so when can I talk to kids about sex? Never. You never can. It's not your business. It's not your job. Get that through your thick skulls and leave the kids alone. Again, nobody else on earth has a problem with this. You people are the only ones who are confused about it. Everybody else, we live our entire lives and it's never a problem. We intuitively understand that it is far beyond inappropriate to have conversations like this with other people's kids. There is no temptation to have those conversations. There's no confusion. There's no like searching, where's the line, where's the boundary? The boundary could not be more obvious. It's in bright neon flashing colors, okay? That's how obvious the boundary is. So let's take this specific case into consideration. And it's good because it actually does demonstrate exactly how the Florida bill will work in action, even though this teacher's firing wasn't really connected to the Florida bill. And in fact, the bill only covers kids up to third grade anyway. Still, we have a pretty good example of the kind of thing the bill is trying to prevent. So what happened here? According to Pansexual Casey, who says she's pansexual because she likes males and females, which actually makes her bisexual, the term pansexual is redundant and meaningless, but I mean, never mind that for now. Casey says the kids were talking about their own sexuality and then they asked about hers. The correct response from a competent adult in this situation is to say, this topic is not appropriate for the classroom, and then change the subject. The end. Simple. Instead, Casey tells the children all about the wonders of her made-up pansexuality identity and invites the kids to create their own pride flags, which she then hangs up in the classroom. Did she deserve to be fired for that? Yes, without question. At best, and I mean the absolute best, most generous interpretation here, is that this woman is emotionally stunted, immature, ill-equipped, and was swept into this inappropriate classroom conversation because she lacks the competence and basic leadership skills to offer the kind of guidance and set the sort of example that her job requires. That's cause enough to fire her. But again, that's like the most generous interpretation. Because in reality, there's a reason these kids felt comfortable talking about this in her classroom in the first place, and even actively, drawing her into the discussion. It's pretty clear that she's initiated these types of discussions in the past. She may well have initiated this one too and is now lying about it. Whatever your theory of the case, there is no plausible theory that vindicates her. And there's one other thing I want to bring up about this. So let's go back to the clip when Pansexual Casey says the students wanted to, draw the pride flags as an art project. And apparently they didn't all want that, considering both parents and students complained after the fact. So there were at least some kids in that classroom who felt uncomfortable. But many of them did allegedly, want to draw the flags until the teacher was forced to pull them all down, crumple them, and throw them away in front of the class. Now, it does sound like she made the whole thing more dramatic and theatrical than it needed to be. Like, I don't think she needs to go right in front of the class and tear down the pride flags that they just put up and crumple them in front of them. It's kind of funny to me, actually. But whether she had to do it that way or not, let's go to minute 139 in the clip where we see all the pride flags crumpled in a heap. Now, you can see that there. Now, first of all, notice just how many pride flags there are from just one middle school art class. I don't know how many kids are in the class, but it couldn't have been more than 20 or 30 at a maximum, probably fewer than that. So in this one middle school class of a couple dozen students at most, that's how many identify as LGBT. That's how many pride flags there were. And you heard her say it too. Well, some of them were non-binary, they were trans, they were gay, they were bisexual. In a middle school class. And note the actual flags we see there in the pile. Talking about these issues so much, I've unfortunately become very well acquainted with these flags. I'm something of a pride flag translator now, and I can tell you that we see there multiple non-binary flags. So these are middle school kids, a group of them in just one class, who have declared that they are neither male nor female. And then perhaps even more alarmingly, we see that you can see that purple, white, and black flag, which is, I believe, the asexual flag. So there are middle schoolers, young kids, who have decided already that they are asexual. They've adopted that identity and are literally waving the flag for it. So if you're wondering why the anti-groomer laws are needed, this is why. The social contagion has turned into a full-blown pandemic. Entire generations are being consumed by it. Children these days are so desperate to be in the LGBT club that they're assuming sexual identities that they don't understand and that don't really make any sense. That's how successful the LGBT indoctrinators have been. And that's why we have to and are fighting back. Hey, listen, hit the subscribe button. Do it right now. I demand it. And I thank you for your compliance. It is somewhat appreciated.